All right, guys, want to welcome you to the Lunch and Learn with TransFinder. We are doing top transportation teams. So I'm here with Antonio Civitella, President and CEO of TransFinder. He came with an idea. He said, Tone, I got this idea. Let's bring all the leaders together. Who doesn't want to be the best? You guys want to be the best? Yeah, right? You guys definitely want to be the best. And it's always great to look at your peer group, but it's also good to ask your staff, how are we doing? Sometimes it's scary to get feedback maybe you don't like. Maybe you get feedback that surprises you. Now, the vision of this was to elevate our industry to really understand who is the best of the best. But it's a good way to reflect on yourself as a leader and how you manage your department and what your staff really thinks of you. So Antonio is going to talk a little bit about how they went about creating the surveys and really coming to the outcomes that we all want to hear, which is the panel we're going to hear from today, and how they were selected to be the top transportation teams. Tony, want to give us a little background?
Very good. Well, thank you so much and welcome. We're super excited. Yes, this is our second year, and Tony, thank you for allowing us to really bring this idea to fruition. Let's just face it, all of you are number one, you're tops, but we're talking about the elite. And what does that really mean? When you're top transportation team, there's so many variables. Yeah, I'm sure you probably have parents calling you saying you guys are great, but we want to look at how your employees see your organization. That's a significant piece. And by the way, it's anonymous. So employees get to really vote and score your departments, everything. And as TransFinder, we talk about culture all the time. As a private company, as a technology private company, holy cow. Guess what was our number one problem that we had to solve is finding people. We have a lot of competitors, not just in this field, but technology. So we've been doing these things for years. And the outcome is that we want to look at how do we score? How do we rank? So today we're going to talk about 6 individuals really in their organizations. They scored the best, so that's why we're going to identify them. And we're going to talk about, have some really good conversation. And I ask every one of you to have at least one thing that you could go back home. And maybe next year, you'll be sitting right here. Because they're going to give you some secret sauce. And if I were you, I would take some notes. You're not going to get everything perfect, but you just need a couple of those cool things. So I want to introduce our panel, really our winners, and we're going to get some pictures. So let's start with our repeat winner. So talk about secret sauce. When we were here last year, we talked about, hey, any recommendations you want to give to maybe they could sit here next year? Well, why would the New England Patriots ever want to give the secret sauce, how to keep winning Super Bowls, right? Well, you guys know, you're very special. You want everyone to win. So Todd Livesey from Franklin Township in Indiana, he's a second-year winner. Congratulations. Let's get a photo here. And here we are. Good, let's get a photo. Second year. And he made it clear, so you go ahead over here, we're going to get some more pictures. He made it clear, I'm going to win again. And guess what? He did. Very good. All right, next person is Joe Vlack, from Executive Director from Central Kitsap in Washington. Come on up. Woo, you got some fans. And it is right here. Good. Perfect. Awesome. There's the X. We gotta go right in the X. There you go. Perfect. Excellent. Very good. Let's get the next person. We're going to go, and by the way, we just called on we had 2 categories, the over 100 employees and then less than 100. So those are the team that was able to make it here that actually were over 100 employees, right? Some of you understand that. As you add more people to the team, well, not necessarily everyone's going to be super happy with you, right? As you get a smaller team, 4 or 5 of those could completely mess you up too. So it's harder and harder. So that's the larger. So now let's look at the under 100 category. It's going to be Sherry from East Peoria, Illinois. Come on up. Very good. Let's get a picture. And they're going to tell you what was their secret sauce. Is that right? She's saying maybe. All right. Thank you. All right. And next is going to be Matt from Wauwanee in Indiana. Am I doing this right? Yes. Where are you? And I think I messed things up here, so we'll have to figure out what this is. So come on here. Good. Perfect. Thank you. And I think I got a couple of those things messed up, so sorry. All right. Now we have D from Waterloo School District. And I got you, D. All right. And D, everyone wants to know, how did you make it? So be prepared. Good. Awesome. Perfect. All right. And so we thought, there's always these honorable mentions, right? Close. Like what's close enough? A couple places, right? Like horseshoes, I guess. Is that close? What about cornhole? Is that close enough? Can you get anything close enough? Bocce for sure. Close enough. But you know why this next person is close enough? Because it's a contractor. So as a contractor, that's tough. It's a private industry. You're talking about keeping everyone excited and motivated. So we are going to recognize, it's an honorable mention. So we have Trace here from the technology team here. So we love that you're here from Palmer Bus. Thank you. And again, as a contractor, he's going to talk about perfect. What does that mean? Good. All right. I'm asking everyone to come and take your seat. Let's start. Perfect. All right. All righty then. And I think I made some mistakes. Some of you don't have the right names, so we'll make sure. Don't zoom in on the names, okay? Those 30X cameras, please. Or 50, all right? Good. Well, how we feeling? Right? Todd, you're not nervous at all. This is your second time around. It's like, man, I'm a pro.
I'm good.
He's a pro. So I'm going to try to be conversational, right? I really want to have you understand what it means for them. And really, that's really my first thing. I want to ask Todd, what does it mean for you and your team to be recognized as a top transportation team? You can't use the same answers as last year, but obviously, you're going to probably share some secret sauce. What'd you do different to win again? So if we could just go around, let's start with you. What is it for you?
So winning this award last year was just this unbelievable validation that we're doing things the way we want to be doing them. We want to create culture of positivity. We want to be there for the students, all those things. And I was telling the guys back in the backstage, or whatever you want to call it, we were part of my concern this year, because we've been playing off this the entire year. Our drivers and monitors and staff, mechanics, routers, everybody across the board, we play on this top transportation team all throughout the year. People come in, you want to work for us. I was getting concerned in April as the year went on. I think it's a very challenging thing to win. I know this. And how are we going to match? And I started tapering their expectations right off the bat. I said, hey, it doesn't matter if we win again. I love you guys. You will always be my top transportation team. That's the way I was tapering these meetings and these conversations at the end of the year. And the survey came through, and just like last year, just hope for the best. To win a second time, it's just the ultimate recognition. My team is so proud of themselves, and that's what I really want. I want them to feel that pride. I want them to be able to go to their neighbors, to their friends, and say, I work for one of the top transportation teams in the United States. It's just a huge, it is a public relations thing, there's no doubt about it, but it's just a huge validation. Every single one of us up here, every single one of our drivers, every monitor, every router, you're exhausted. And I think something to think about too with the survey, it comes at the end of the year when everybody's cooked. They've had it.
That's intentional, by the way.
Very smart, very smart. So, when you send out a customer service survey, which is kind of essentially what it is, a lot of times people, they don't respond if it's good stuff, they only put the bad stuff. So to be able to win again, it is the ultimate recognition. I'm just so proud of my team. I'm so happy for them that they can continue this honor and that we can play it forward moving into the year. I just really appreciate it.
Well, very good. Thank you. And again, congratulations, second time. So, Joe, how is it important to you guys? All right, this is the first time you weren't sure, like, are these questions going to be tough? Like, well, they're going to be tough because it's few of you are here. But really, these are what did you do? What makes it so important for you to be here and stand in front of all these people today?
I think for me, it starts with validation of who are we and what's our why. So we started this journey like 10 years ago around envisioning what do we want, how do we get there, and how do we collaborate. So I think for me, it's just that validation piece. Like I'm hearing of, hey, these are hard jobs, they're hard leadership positions, and they take its toll. And so if we don't do it together, it's going to be a lonely run. So for us, it's really, I think everybody will talk about family. Some families can be dysfunctional, right? Let's be honest. But when we create our values together and we stick to those values and we have accountability to each other and to those values, I think that's truly, we literally have those on our wall, and we took time to create those, and we took time to manage the culture and grow the culture. And there are people in your team that, we heard this morning that you got to help them with their boogie dance, right? Like you got to go, hey, it's time to boogie. And how do you do that as a leader? I think you have to be fair. You have to be present. I have my CDL. I'm out driving. I'm an executive director. I sit on the cabinet level. I always encourage our superintendent to be out there. Our school board is out there supporting our drivers, so it's not, one time a year you're doing classified appreciation. It's like you have to create that culture of every Friday we're out there, meeting our drivers as they're coming back. And every day I try to go over and, sit in the lunchroom with the drivers and know them by name, know them by strength, and know their needs. So for us, our culture truly is a family. And I don't know about your teams, but families like cake. So if you're into transportation, food is important, right? Like, how do you feed your people and what do they need?
Absolutely. Food is always good. I can tell you, as being Italian, it's always about food. And you talk about family, which is an important word for me, for my family, and really for my company. Family is a strong word, and it's something about food brings people together. I can tell you, in my own house, I would bring some people that maybe are not Italians, and it'll be hors d'oeuvres. I'll tell everybody, take it easy. That's just the starters. Pace yourself. There's going to be a lot of food here. That's just the beginning. It's coming. It's coming up. It's coming up. Well, you guys know you have to be pretty loud inside of a school bus, right? So we could be loud, right? Right. And I know some of you were doing the ride-along last night, and you're a little bit loud. Good. All right, how we doing? It's coming, slowly coming up. It's going. Did someone trip over a wire? Is that what happened? John, did we trip over something? Good.
This is so powerful.
It is powerful. Good.
From Reno.
No problem.
We have to start everything.
No problem. It's okay. It's okay. Listen. No, let's talk about family. Because family means, my mother-in-law says it's best. She says, l'amore non è bella se non è litigarella. Means love's not beautiful if there's no arguments. And it's not going to be perfect. So it's family. So it's okay, right? So it's okay with Joe obviously brought the family. So as things are restarting, I think we can just go right down the line. Sherry, why is this important to you? I think it should be working. Mine's working. If not, you have to speak really loud.
I can use
Let's
my best
try it.
driver voice.
I can hear you, so go ahead.
Great. I don't want to repeat, but it also validates for our team with having a turnover 2 years ago that myself and my supervisor are doing the correct things. We brought the team, family into our team, do a lot of fun things, and it just validates all of the hard work and compassion that we show for our drivers and monitors and everyone involved with our transportation.
Perfect. That's really good. Obviously, there's things that we talk about, other areas. I mean, is pay, how many times do you hear pay as a conversation? Does that ever happen? Right? Right?
It's asked when they first come in, yes, but
Right.
once they realize how fun it is to work with us, then it's backburned.
And I tell you, pay is great. It definitely pays the bills, but it's short term, right? Because I could spend money fast. More money I get, I'll spend faster. So how do you sustain it? So those are very important, Sherry, that you got to keep that going. So how about you, Matt?
You know, pay and benefits is one thing, but our team, I really feel it is their calling. They don't care, you know, I mean, they do care, but about the pay, but I feel like they do it for free some days.
Yeah. Well, obviously, this industry, you don't just wake up in the morning saying, you know, I think I'm going to just be in a school bus industry. I want to just change the world. But you don't realize it. We've talked about this all the time. You folks are the front line. Kids could have some tough days, and we know it. We don't live in their shoes. We don't even know what their household looks like. But they see you or your driver, it's the first person. And you train your drivers to say, if you see little Tony a little bit down, let me give you a little background about Tony. All of a sudden, now the driver has a little bit passion. Like, wow. You know, and those are the things that nobody knows. And you guys have been doing this for years, so, right? And it's always been the case. Dee, what about you? How is this award and all that? How's your life going to change now?
Well, I think the biggest thing for my team is that getting the information from my team, we're not going outside. We're getting this data from my staff, my drivers, my monitors, my mechanics, my secretaries, my dispatchers, right? And it's all in the same plane. They all agree, which is, you know, not always the same. What happens, right? So, but they all agree that we're a good team. We're a top team, and that's something that for me was very eye-opening to see that this is something that we're all on the same level. At the end of the year, someone brought that up. Yeah, at the end of the year, I was like, oh, we're going to see what happens, right? Because, you know, it was a crazy year. Absolutely. And it never ended, is what it felt like. But for this, I think the biggest thing is to see that staff are recognizing other staff are supporting other staff, and staff feel that. And
Wonderful.
They're able to put that out there, so.
That's perfect. And Trace, being really another side, on a private side, give us some ideas what you've done and what this really means for you. And obviously, you have other companies that want to now realize, wow, we could be in that seat next year too. So anything you want to talk about from your side and how important this is for you?
Yeah, to be a contractor and receive this award is definitely amazing. So yeah, it's not just school districts that can receive this. It can be a contractor. We're in the state of Minnesota, and we contract with 28 school districts. So to be able to go back to our districts that we work with and say, hey, you know, we are being recognized by the industry and we received this award. And to do the same with potential school districts that may want to bring us on as a client to do their transportation, to be able to share this to them and use this as a benefit for us as a company. And yeah, a lot of families been talked about. You know, our company started with a family at one school district in the state of Minnesota. The daughters of the owner who passed away took over the business, so it's still in a family, and they're looking to continue to grow this company. To receive this award will definitely benefit us and help us do that.
Well, that's huge. You know, we always talk about the takeaways, the low-hanging fruit. Remember those 1 or 2 items we talk about that I hope you can just start calling the office, start doing this today, or maybe wait until you get back and start doing things. And Sherry talked about low-hanging fruit, right? And everyone's got these low-hanging fruit. So if you had to describe what does that mean, low-hanging fruit, do you have a couple low-hanging fruit? Like maybe not all the pizzas and the cakes and so forth. What other low-hanging fruit that you think got you here that others could do?
I don't know if this one really got us here or not, but it just recently happened. When I came into transportation a couple years ago, I knew we didn't have a water filler bottle for the team. It was installed a couple weeks ago, and as our drivers are coming in from summer school, they're just so excited about this water bottle filler. So to me, I think that just put more smiles.
Right.
It's something very little that made a big impact for the drivers.
Those are little things that we think, come on, but we don't know. See, this is where we have to always put ourselves in their shoes. And that's so hard because you're dealing with parents, you're dealing with administration, you're dealing with budgets, you're dealing with driver shortage. Now I have to deal with Tony wanting some cold, refreshing water. Oh, you're a grown man, just get over it. But you see, those little things go a long way. They really do. Joe, what about you? Do you have some of those low-hanging fruit that you want to
Yeah,
share?
I think the secret sauce truly is it starts with knowing what the needs are. So data is important. We started with a survey of, you know, what are our strengths? We wanted to start there. We wanted to be positive. And then what are the weaknesses? What are the things we need to work on? So like you talked about and you've all read, you know, probably what do you do in your first 90 days as a leader? You capitalize on those things that are easy and that will get you a high win. So for us, it was removing barriers. And one of those barriers that we removed is how do you change people's role in an organization? That might be a long win, but an easy win is we took our job descriptions and we changed them. Wow. I bet if you're like any other district, I bet your job descriptions are antiquated. You work with HR, you try to get things posted, you try to get things moved along. So we looked at, hey, what authority do transportation directors have in that hiring process and how can we speed that up and make it better? So that way, you know, one of the big barriers is getting people interested in transportation, keeping them interested. So looking at what does your job description say, and are they really value oriented? Are you starting with, you know, what does it mean to be a driver in your district? How are they supported? If you know, we haven't talked about Gen X. I'm definitely beyond Gen X, and values are different. So I think just the low-lying fruit, like whether it's the water bottle that people, you know, they've been talking about it for 50 years. For us, it was the culture piece of everybody knew what we called, you know, our Fab Five. We had people in the organization that were bringing the culture down, and we addressed it. And then we brought in training to go, how do you as a driver have a crucial conversation? So it's not always you're gonna run to admin and go, hey, so-and-so did this. They took my cake out of the refrigerator. They ate my sandwich. So we trained on crucial conversations.
That's really good. Well, you know, it's good to tackle the easy stuff because it's low-hanging fruit. You dig it, let it win. But sometimes the tough ones are tough. And you just got to be, as a leader, you got to be confident that you're making the right decision. And it's okay to make a mistake. You own it, all right? that didn't work out so well. You know, you want to make sure that when you do hit those big ones, and maybe it didn't go the way we all planned, just own it. It's okay. You want to talk about job description? Because I think the best three-letter title, what do you think is the best three-letter title? Anybody want to guess? Three-letter. It's not CEO. It's FIO. You know what FIO means? Figure it out. Because we can't just tell adults every step by step. You want a team that will figure it out. Right? Right, Matt? So give us some low-hanging fruit, things that you seen that really made a change.
Well, I'm lucky because this year we built a brand new transportation facility.
That goes a long way.
Yeah, went from nothing to all the buses being serviced at a local dealership in town, to having our own mechanic and the driver's space, which they never had before. So that went a long way with.
All right. That's a big one, right? Someone had to make a decision, a lot of money involved. That was not that low-hanging fruit. It sounds like everyone should be happy what just happened. Did they initially give you like high praises that, wow, we're moving?
All the drivers were super excited. It's been a long time coming.
Awesome. That's great. Well, very good. Those are always important. Dee, what about you? Anything you want to share?
Sure. So when I took over the department, one of the things that was obvious that was causing some stress was our trip board, our trip assignment. And it was very, very, very competitive. Staff were more in tune as far as what those 6 drivers were doing versus everything else. And it created a lot of concerns. So we got staff together, and this is a concern. You know, we all know it. You know, how can we change it? What can we do? And we developed a new trip board that we tried out. We had a 6-month period. We worked with the union to get the contract taken care of so we can do that. And it was a struggle because it's different. You know, that trip board had been around for 20-something years.
It's we've always done it this way.
We've always done it this way, exactly.
Right? We've always done it this way. There's no
Yep.
reason to fix anything.
Yep. Well, there's a lot of
Right?
reasons to fix it. But
That's the common theme.
right.
You know, I know you're new here, but I just want to tell you, we've always done it this way at this district.
Yes.
Anybody hears that a few times? Well, this time we're going to make a little change. And by the way, change is okay.
So we did finally end up going with a different process. We tried it out for 6 months, and after that 6 months, we got together and pretty much voted on, and we were able to actually tweak that process to make it even less competitive. So we were able to get kind of a much better trip process, and it was all pretty much developed by the staff.
That's awesome.
So that's something that they're held to, and we do our best to make sure that it is accountable and everything. And staff now know that if there are mistakes, they're just mistakes. It's not someone trying to give someone else a trip or whatever, and they can see that process. So
Remember a mistake. Thomas Edison. And by the way, we're in Schenectady, New York, which is really one of the homes of Thomas Edison. And you know what I'm talking about? All the mistakes he made inventing the light bulb. He just found 1,000 ways not to do a light bulb. It's not really mistakes. And by the way, when you get people involved, they're already ready to make another change. And it has to be that you have to have a theme around getting people to understand that we have to change. Things change around us. I'm going to tell you, as a routing software company, the past 3 decades, we would call on many of you, right? And we're going to continue calling you guys, whether you're clients or not. We're always going to call you. And our number one thing you would hear is that we don't need a routing software because our routes don't change. Does that make any sense to you? Because the only way things don't change, same kids, they never go to next grade. Nobody ever moves. No other jobs. That's the only possible way that routes don't change. So you're already part of an industry that's changing all the time. So to think that people are afraid of changes, it's a little bit silly the way I think. because your industry is all about changes. So, right? Those are all good things here. And we'll hear you last. Trace, what type of things, what low-hanging fruit, us as a contractor, what type of low-hanging fruit, and I think you've already given us some ideas before, but what other things that maybe you want to share with the audience here?
Yeah, so one thing that we have at our company is was a yearly bonus program based off of our core values, safety, integrity, dignity, help, and community. So if the drivers met that criteria at the end of the year, they would receive a bonus. But we changed that to be a monthly bonus program based off those same 5 core values. So it's to give them more of a instant gratification of, hey, we appreciate you coming into work every day, doing what you need to do to get the kids to and from school safely. And kind of like Tony said, drivers are the first, adult that they might see that will make their day better, and that last adult that they see at the end of the day before they go home that makes their life better. So, really hounding in on that as our company is what we do to really make sure that our drivers know that, hey, if you follow this criteria, you do your job, make these kids happy, get them to and from school safely, we're gonna reward you.
Those are big things right here. And of course, Todd, you've had those same successes, and you've shared with us throughout the year, and you've done a lot with the photos and how you use this award, right? And you mentioned a lot of different things. So some of the takeaways, not just from this first round, but in the second round, just tell us, what are the takeaways, and what did you do to really let your community know that we are top? Because listen, there's some cool hardware. They look really nice. It's like a steering wheel. Who doesn't like a trophy that has a steering wheel on it? Come on. It's cool stuff. But beyond that, what does that mean? And what are the things that you did? Because now you actually have history. What did you do to make it even a whole nother level? Things with superintendent. So please share with the audience those takeaways.
So right off the bat, even from the time we initially won, of course, our PR guy at the school, he was all over it. He's blasting it on Facebook. We're blasting it ourselves on Facebook. I don't know if any of you guys have this. I also have an internal Facebook page just for my transportation team. Have to be invited to be in it. Have to be an employee. So I can send them stuff and I say, hey, do me a favor. Everybody put this on your page. You put 150 people and put the top transportation team on everybody's page, you're talking about reaching about 10,000 people like that. I mean, it's really fast. And so people know. So they go to the bus stop and somebody complains about the bus driver, and the next parent says, well, they're in the top transportation team and they're doing pretty good for me. So it really builds, and the expectation from the parents is that we're one of the best, and from themselves that we're one of the best. We also, it's the little things, and again, I give credit to my driver. I had a driver come in. It was not my idea. He walks in, he's wearing a banner like a cape that says "Top" with the logo. So that banner is now hanging in our building. You can't miss it when you come in. We had a bus in the homecoming parade. Again, thousands and thousands of people are seeing this banner, Top Transportation Team. And more importantly than just the PR and people outside seeing it, your people will feel it. Your people will feel this award. They will know that, hey, I got a high bar here, and I'm not going to let this team down. I'm not going to let the driver next to me, the monitor next to me down. I'm not going to let these routers down. I'm not going to let the mechanics down. Everybody really, really fights for each other. Of course, on the hiring process, it's a huge thing. We do not pay, quite honestly, really as well as some of the neighboring districts, and we all know that it's not about pay. Like Tony said, you're going to spend that extra $1 or $2 an hour. It's really not going to change your life. It's really about being happy and enjoying the culture you come to work for every single day. And it starts from the top. I'm sitting up here accepting this award, but it's a township award. It literally starts from our superintendent and it works on down. He is very involved. All of his assistants are involved. The principals are very involved. Again, they share all this information. They support. And when there's a problem, we work together. We don't hammer on people. We're going to work together and figure out, hey, this might not be the best approach. What do you think would work? let's get your feedback first, and let's let you know what we think. Let's work together on this. And again, on the hiring, when you come in for an interview with us, it's kind of a low-hanging fruit thing as well. If you sit down with me, you better have scheduled some time, because you're probably going to be sitting in my office for at least an hour. I'm going to get to know you very well. You got to hire the right people, and that takes time, and it's very difficult for every single one of us, because somebody walks in the door and says, I want to drive a bus, and you're like, let me grab you some keys. This is easy. That's what it is. I sit down with them for an hour. I talk to them, and I implement this in it as well, let them know who we are. I get to know them. I give them a tour of the building. I ask them, hey, when's the last time you were on a bus? Most of the time, it was a very long time ago. I walk out there, I show off all the stuff, all the stop arm cameras and the Zonar and the cameras, all those things, the seat belts, right? I introduce them to the entire office staff. These are our routers. They're the ones that's going to take care of you. See, their radios there. That's your lifeline. We're here for you. We're here to support you. When they walk out the door, they usually have a T-shirt, and whether they get offered a job, accept a job or not, they're walking out feeling like, wow, that was I'm really glad to learn about them. I really felt wanted. I really felt appreciated. And I already feel like a part of the family when they walk out the door. So those are the things that really with the award has been just invaluable. I can't thank you enough.
That's awesome. So listen, everything's all about positive outlook, feeling great, all the cool things. But let's face it, there's going to be a couple challenges here, right? Can't just be all great stories and wow, you got the photo, newspaper. I mean, I've seen all those things. And those are exciting. Who doesn't like to get a good article on your local newspaper, right? Oh, we all want that. And of course, we talk about those things. We're coming up that time of the year that we work very hard to stay out of the news, right? Stay out of the news is actually a success. But when you're on the news for a good story, good story. So I want to change it up a little bit because there's always going to be some challenges. So I'm going to change up a little bit. Maybe I'll start with you, Matt, as more of a smaller school district. You always have to do by based on the resources you have. So, but share with us some of the challenges that you do see in transportation. And those are hard. They're not the low-hanging fruit that everyone talks about. What are some of the challenges that you see are tough and, to chip those away?
Like everybody here, we probably all have to drive the bus from time to time. I mean, I'm in it on occasion, not as much as some of the neighboring districts, which we're lucky. But yeah, having enough drivers and people being sick and just being able to get it all done.
Those are always the challenges. So to make sure that people come to work, it's so easy to say, I'm just not feeling it today. Remember those days when we're like 16 years old? Okay, it's okay. I don't think any of you ever had that feeling, because if you had that feeling even at 16, you would not even be in this right here. But it's that attitude that you potentially going to start hiring some younger people. And a job is just a way to, it's not necessarily a career, it's looked at it differently than when we had growing up. So those are, finding people are always tough, right? I mean, I know everyone talks about it. So about you, Sherry, what about you about these challenges that, those are tough. And I always talk about these challenges that keep us up at night. A lot different than, well, I'm going to tell you what keeps us up at night, to make sure that kids get to school safe, and let's get them back home safe. That's what keeps us up at night, and I know that's what keeps you guys up at night. So you don't even have to mention that, but what other challenges that you see that, you got to chip away at?
Of course, it's the staffing, but one of my biggest challenges is the special ed transportation.
Special ed.
Us being a fairly small district, we have over probably almost 200 special education transportation kids, including our early childhood program, which that gives our drivers basically 4 different drive times throughout the day. We have our morning, our AM, our PM, and then our going home. So that is like one of my biggest challenges in the lead that I do for the district.
That's a good one. That's a good takeaway. So special needs, and of course, so how many tiers your district do you have? Do you have tiering? Like
We
morning, midday, right? Do you have any of those
We have,
things?
drivers all drive two tiers in the morning, and then we have our AM ECE going home, our PM ECE going in, and then everybody going home then.
And of course, and Joe, being a larger, relative to other districts here, when you have, you probably have enough staff that if 2 or 3 don't show up today, you're in good shape. But what about if 5, 6 don't show up? Now at this point, I'm pretty sure you have tiering also, and you have to split a route, right? You guys all know about splitting these routes? How is that challenging? And is that stressing out your drivers?
Yeah, I was going to go a different direction, but that's a good question. I think driver shortages, everybody can relate to that. Fatigue, if you have leaders out doing the job on a daily basis, how do you motivate them and how do you keep them? We have amazingly talented people that could go anywhere, and I think it starts with relationships. Like, there's 2 things that kick around my head: it's people and process. And if you can find that intersect between, at your level, what are you doing to improve processes and improve people? How are you growing your people? They will stay. But if it's a consistent drain on resources of, I'm having to drive every day and I'm having to improve the operation, how do I do that within a reasonable amount of time? So I think at my level, my challenge is, how do I provide that intersect between people and process? What innovation do we look for? And how do we meet those challenges? If the challenge is driver shortage, what are you doing at your level to work with whomever that power broker is to go, we need to change those systems? My thinking was challenges that I see in our district that excite me are, we're a very federally connected community. We're largely military connected. So we do a lot in the emergency prep and making sure that drivers are a key part of that, and how do we include them? Are they actually drilling and going out and doing emergency prep? And so we're now in our 3rd year of doing those drills, and now we're sitting at the federal level with the federal government going, what would we do when we have to shut a base down? So that's the things that keep me up at night of like, hey, if there is, because there will be an incident, right? How is transportation a key component in that, and how do you play regionally to go, okay, it's not just me, right? It's the other districts in the area. So I think those are the challenges that keep me up. But your question is valid. I think it's how do we support people and make them passionate to come to work when it's a physically,
It's brutal.
mentally, and it's a
brutal.
lonely job at times.
It is lonely, and I've seen so many people in this leadership position, and so many would just say, I have to drive. I don't have enough drivers. Well, you know what happens when you're driving? You're not thinking about how to make improvements. And by the way, a lot of leaders made it up to the ranks, really should never have been a leader. They were the best at something. I can tell you, we do the same mistakes too. You're the best at that. You're not going to be the manager. It doesn't mean that. And so those are the things that are so tough, saying, I'm going to give you a little story about a person that was with us many years ago. It was a good individual, and he had a task to do, but anytime we have like water delivery or office supplies, he was the first one to volunteer. Like, dude, can you go do your job? I love that you're doing all this stuff, because it's a lot easier to move papers around, because everyone wants water or pens and supplies. It's so much easier to say, let me drive, because there's a shortage. But if you're driving, you're not there to solve this problem. And it's easier said than done. I know it. So those are things that I know.
Can I add one more?
Please, you do.
I think if you have the authority and you have the ability, one word that comes to mind for me is de-silo. And I don't know what that means to you, but for me, it's like, okay, if you have other leaders in the organization that you can work with and say, how do we how do we de-silo the operation so that bus drivers, when they're coming in during a midday, can they participate in your central kitchen? Maybe not. Maybe your operation is, you know, across town or whatnot. But work with your HR teams so that you're broadening people's experience and giving them other experiences so that they're not going to gravitate toward what do they always do and what's the easiest thing to do. And I think even for your leaders, like, give them some breadth so they're not going to go and grab the pens and try to deliver the pens.
And Joe, I tell you, even at this event, there's so many sessions that you could take to become better leaders. You know, I'm in an era that I was the Michael Jordan fans, right? And we know Michael Jordan, he had tons of coaches. I mean, why would you need a coach? You're Michael Jordan. But he had everyone telling him how to be better. And by the way, it's the slight edge. The Jordans of the era were a slight edge. But we just need better training. And I think take advantage of these sessions. That way you can learn how to become a better leader, right? So those are things there. Todd, I always go there with you last, so let's go with you this time. So the things that are the challenges, right? And keep you up at night. Do you want to share something with the group?
Check. There it is. Sorry. I would agree with Joe that my biggest challenge right now, and our biggest challenge, is keeping myself and the leadership up all the time. We cannot go into that building with our heads down, looking exhausted, run down. We will do a poor job, first of all, if we do that. And second of all, that's what the drivers and the monitors and everyone will feed off of. They'll feed off that negative, exhausted energy. So you got to find your way to get up there, how many ever cups of coffee it takes you, whatever you got to do. For me, it's honestly, it's taking care of myself as best as possible, physically and mentally. You know, you got to be able to step away from this job too. And all of us up here, and most of you are in this situation where you're laying at night thinking about, my God, are they going to call off again tomorrow? My God, is it going to snow tomorrow? What's going to happen tomorrow? And anxiety. You just got to find a way to squash that. For me, it's exercise. I run every morning, and I play guitar at night in my basement. You know, you got to find your thing that separates you from it. And you also got to have fun with your people, know your people, take them out to lunch, grab that monitor or that mechanic that maybe you don't have a real good relationship with. Go take them out to lunch, go meet them somewhere, have a cup of coffee, find energy in your people. And I always tell my people too, I want to grow you. I like you said that, Joe. I've said this, they've heard me say this quote many times, every day here's an interview. Every one of us is in a job interview right now. Everybody is interviewing all the time. It's kind of like always be selling, right? Always put your best foot forward, put on a good show, get yourself to the car, decompress then. But that's one of the biggest things, just keeping everybody up and mostly yourself first.
Todd, by the way, I love that. It's the ABC, so we always call that always be closing. That's the sales term, right? But we are spinning that because ABC could also mean, and I think it should be, always be curious. Because it's really be curious. That's when you get people to participate. And those are some challenges you talk about right there. So, Dee, what about you? What type of challenges you don't get snow. Snow is not an issue for you guys at all, right?
Upstate New York? Yeah, we get tons of snow. Yeah.
I mean, you don't get you only get you measure in feet.
Yes.
Right.
So weather is, we do pretty well in the weather. We do pretty good. So that's not too much of a challenge.
Good.
One of the biggest challenges for us is very big increase in demand on what we do. One of my neighboring districts just recently put out at a board meeting that their transportation department has been over-servicing for too long. So one of the things that we do is we work with our department leaders. We have a very, very good relationship with our CSE department. We also promote staff forward talking. So I need a bus at 6 o'clock. No, you need a driver at 6 o'clock, and I don't have any of them. So that's kind of that conversation you have, because it's very easy to put a request on something tangible like a bus. I can park that there for you. You could have it for 6 days if you want. I can't get you a driver for 10 minutes. So that's kind of that stuff there. And in doing so, you create a little bit more of a respect for your staff. You know, you start having a little bit more respect for these requests. And when you have a denial, when you can't do something, it's not a, well, there goes the crab transportation department. It's, okay, yep, they can't do that. And they've explained why they couldn't.
Well, those
So-
are things, it's communication, right? That's the key always, for sure. We have till 1:15. So we got time, so we got a little more time. So guys, hang in there with us. Perfect. So let's, Trace, you got to have a couple challenges going on, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, you have your clients, their clients as parents. And I didn't hear anybody talk about the challenges with parents, which I'm super shocked. Are parents all great for you guys too? Because they didn't talk about that, which means there's other bigger challenges. So, Trace.
Yeah, being a contractor, you know, and working with different school districts, you know, each school district has their own policies and kind of rules that they go by that we have to adjust, you know, kind of maybe what we have as a standard at one district compared to another. So, you know, really sitting down and working with our school districts, you know, we have staff, usually a manager, assistant manager, a mechanic, you know, and a building facility at each one of our cities where we service that school district. So really making sure that those kind of management people, you know, have those connections with the superintendent, the business manager, so that they know and they understand that, hey, these are the things that we are needing from Palmer Bus Service to be able to succeed, you know, in transportation at our district. And yeah, you know, that it comes with dealing with parents. You know, I think sometimes we say
Do you have to deal with parents being a contractor? Is there a little shield between you and the parents? Do I have to say that? Is that okay to say shield?
It's different at each school district. It is. You know, some of the school districts ask that we take care of any sort of disciplinary issues. So, you know, we're the ones that deal with the parents then and having those consequences of any discipline that took place on the bus. Some school districts say, you know, just hand us over the video of the issue that took place on the bus and we'll handle the parents and the disciplinary issues. So again, it just goes back to, you know, us really making sure that we have that strong relationship with each one of our districts so that we're able to give them the best service we can.
That's awesome. Well, I think you guys give us good insight. We want to just wrap it up, really just go across everyone again. Just really say, there's something I didn't ask you. There's something that I really wanted to say this, Tony. You didn't ask me. What's up? We spent all that time with Rick and everyone else. So let's go through that. Matt, what things would you like to finish off and really things that you didn't get a chance to talk about by your leadership, about really your organization and your school district? Anything you want to, final words here?
Yeah, one of the unique things about the district that I work for, a bus driver will take the sport team and they will have the whole season. And the bus drivers are up cutting the net down at the basketball games. They're getting rings for the championship football team.
Cool.
Just different things like that, unique that, you know, makes the job great.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, very good. Obviously, everyone's goal is to be back here next year. Is that right? So, Sherry, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to make sure that I have to talk about? And by the way, this time around, I think it's live streaming, so we had a little interruption with power. I hope we got that back going with the live stream. So, any last words you would like to close us out with?
Just want to thank you, and just make sure that the team, we treat our team as family. If there's ever any issues, we include the drivers in helping us come up with a resolve to the issues. So just, I think that's overall is what's made us, you call it a top team, I call it a top family.
I love that. Top transportation family. That's a good one, right? Rick, where are you, right? That's a good name right there. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, family. Some people use that word in a way that there's an expectation to always deliver, but what I love about family, and Dee, I'm sure we could talk about more about those things. There's an expectation that it's okay. You know, some days are not going to be great. But you want to make sure that when you have those great days, celebrate those good days. Right? So any last takeaways you want to share with us, Dee?
Sure. One of the things that I think we do very well with our team is we do listen and react. Sometimes the answer is in the break room. Sometimes your drivers, your monitors, your mechanics, your staff will have the answers to the 20-year-old problem, but they've never been listened to in the last 20 years, right? So getting those answers and getting your staff to the point where they're supported and empowered to give you those answers, that's going to make your team pretty good. That's something that I think we can say we're very proud of with that. And it kind of goes back to the, love is an argument, like you said earlier today.
Yeah.
So it's
You
kind
can't
of
be
the same
loving
thing.
somebody if you're
Right.
not arguing.
Right.
Disagreement is okay. That's natural because it's a check. We don't want to hire people that just say, yeah, oh, that was a great idea. Oh, that's a good-looking shirt. I want the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's real communications. So good way to end that for sure. Trace, anything last words you want to share with the audience here?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that our CEO has done a great job at when she took over 7 years ago is creating leadership roles. My role itself, HR, hiring recruiters, so that our mechanics, our managers at each site feel supported, that they have someone that they can call directly, making it a place where people don't just want to come and just have a job, but a place where they want to come and stay working and make a career out of working at Palmer Bus. So, I feel supported in my position from my supervisor all the way down to a bus aide feeling supported from their manager because we have all these people in place to really just keep things flowing and make everyone just feel happy, safe, and supported when they come to work.
Well, that's very good. Those are important things. And it's not just words, that's actions behind that. And obviously, it's the renewal of your contracts has got to be one of those acknowledgments that you're doing a good job. It's not, there's no such thing as, oh, we've been doing this for years. That's just a checkbox. You just got to do bare minimum. You're going to get the business again.
Yeah, no, our school districts, we don't lose a contract, which is great, so we're doing something right, we like to say, and really being able to go back and, hopefully, even pick up more contracts from other school districts that say, hey, what are they doing that we're doing wrong, and hiring us to come in and help turn things around.
That's very good. Joe, what about some last things you want to share that I didn't ask, or like I have to bring this up? I mean, the little cheat sheet that you had there is like I have to talk about this. So
Well,
last
I don't
things.
have my glasses on, so I do have them, but so just, I think, start with your heart. If you've read any leadership book ever, it's going to be, leadership starts with you, and I think we can be great at process, we can be great with numbers, spreadsheets, and ultimately some people will care about that, but not all people, right? Parents will care that you care about their kid. Drivers will care that you care about them and their kids. So get to know your people, improve your processes, have a solid vision, and be willing to change, right? Like, I think it's your job as a leader to define the vision and to collaborate. I don't know about you, but going alone, you can go fast, right? But going together, you can go far. And we all know that, but it's hard to go together. We worked hard with our unions. I'm proud of those relationships. I'm proud of 30 years of relationships, being on both sides, having been a teacher, a principal, now on the operations side. Having that perspective, I think, you are the secret sauce. And, you can go to any seminar, any conference, and it really starts with you. So I challenge you, what are you reading? What are you emulating? What are you journaling? What are you bringing to the table? And how are you empowering your team? It's all you. And it's not all about you, but it all starts with you. So I would say have clarity of your culture and go out there and, you got to stay, like you're saying, you got to stay positive. And it's not false positivity, it's being authentic. And if you know your drivers and you sit down with them and they know you, they drove your kids, and you can go, man, I'm just really dragging today. And you don't want to whine about it, right? But you want to be authentic and be real. And I just think what I heard today, what I walked away with was, you're sitting in somebody's dream job. And we don't always, sometimes it might be a nightmare, but it's still a dream, right? So how do you recharge yourself? You're going to go home on whatever day, and you're going to start with your heart. So that's my
Perfect.
piece.
And before we'll have you end, Todd, and congratulations again for a second time around, of course, and congratulations to all of you for the first time, and we'd love to see you guys back here. I want to talk about the culture. I'm all about Proverbs, and my father would have these crazy Proverbs. A lot of times they're more agriculture, farming, crazy Proverbs. They're like puzzles. And he passed away about 12 years ago, and every once in a while I throw these out there. I translate them from Italian to English, and sometimes they're not perfect translation. But I use these Proverbs in business. And I'm going to share one with you because it's about leadership. And it's about a rooster. And before I talk about this proverb, I got to just give you, just in case you don't know about, in a farm, you got the rooster, crows in the morning. That's what they do. So the proverb, and then of course everyone follows the dominant rooster. That's how it works. So the proverb goes like this. When the little rooster, not the dominant, crows, the big one has already sung. That means if your employees are making some statements, your manager set that stage, or it could be you. So think about that. When that little rooster, so here in a company, we say, that's a little rooster moment right there. When a brand new employee that's been with you a few months and says something, guess what? You think they made that up on themselves? Like a kid, 10 years old, they say something. You tell me that they just thought of that? They heard that from their parents. So I want to make sure before we wrap up with you, Todd, is that we are the big roosters. And so we have to be very careful on what we say because people are going to copy us. So remember that. When the little rooster crows, the big one has already sung. So close us out, Todd.
Little delay. Yeah, for me, the last thing, just a couple of things. A little bit of piggyback on Joe again. First of all, every single one of us should be learning every day. Go to all the professional development and go to these conferences. This is like the third one I've been to this year. Just go. Yeah, you might hear some information again. You might get sick of hearing repetitive. Go. You take away something from everything and then pass that on to your people. The other thing I would say, one of the things that I've done, especially in the last year, up that training for your drivers, get them to these conferences. Anybody you can, any way you can find to pay for it, get them here too. They're your leaders. They can give you ideas. They need to hear these things too. So do what you can to get them to STN, AP, all these things. The other thing I would say is, as Tony said, don't be afraid to fail. I have failed so many times. I can't even tell you what a mess I've made of things. And
I don't even think they're failure. I just move on. Actually, I tell everybody I have a short-term memory. Yeah. I don't remember. And you have to get a short-term memory when you're a leader. Don't worry about things that happened yesterday.
Absolutely. It's okay to fail, figure out, well, that didn't work. They're not going to call you names. They're just going to want to fix it. So understand, too, that especially, and everybody does this. I hear it all the time. I don't have to make every decision. I don't have to do everything by myself. I have an entire network of administrators, teachers, parents, staff internally, superintendent, everybody. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Don't internalize things. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You'd be amazed what happens when you start saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. Can somebody help me out? You'll be very surprised. Someone from another department might have your answer. It might be a bus monitor. It might be a mechanic. It might be an IA at the school. But somebody has your answer. Collaborate, ask for help, and work with everybody.
That's a great way to ending. Everyone, please put your hands together and congratulate. So there's one last thing that we at TransFinder are extremely competitive. Have you realized that? We track everything. We do. We know who your superintendents are. When you move around from one school to another, we do our best to keep track of things. So we're all about numbers and statistics. In AI, that's the new term. We've been doing AI for decades already. But I want to talk about what does that mean to be the top top score. And nobody even knows about this. So I'd love to present to this plaque. It is the highest score. And by the way, this year we had a record amount of school districts and companies to really be part of this award, and significant amount of employees, actually thousands of them, actually went in and took the survey, which is super exciting, being the second year. So to win the highest score, Matt from Wani, you guys have the highest score. Come and accept this. The highest score. Whoa. Awesome. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Go to other sessions. Want to get a big picture? Whatever you want. Whatever you want. Did we not do that already?